House to Home, brought to you by Remax Diamond Realty.
All right, everybody, for this episode of House to Home, we are doing a grab bag of topics, many questions that you have posed online, and who better to answer these many topics about the real estate market here on Guam than our friend Liz Duenas from Remax Diamond Realty. Hafa Liz.
Hafa thanks for having us.
Okay, so one thing that I have wondered about, and fortunately I'm not alone because a bunch of people asked online, is do my past credit discretions, if I've bounced a check, and I have, if I have let kind of bills, you know, in my young and stupid college days kind of like slide for a few months and everything like that, and my credit score has suffered because of it, how will that affect me going further down in life and my ability to qualify for a housing loan?
Normally when you apply for a loan to purchase a home, they would ask you for your credit history, but they would put in for a credit report. And your credit report will give a history of your background. Have you walked away from mortgages? Are you late for your credit card payments? All of those are applicable. So when they're processing your loan, they want to look at your score. Are you a good credit risk or are you a bad credit risk? So if your scores are so low, they're going to say, we're not going to want to loan this particular individual. Now, if you have a high credit score, like in the 800s or, you know, close to 760, 780, they'll say, great person to loan to. And the interesting part, if your credit scores are higher, they might even avail to you a better interest rate.
This is a responsible young man. He pays his bills on time.
Pays it. Now, we've had a number of people who come to us and say, we've been great tenants, we've paid our bills on time, we pay our water, our power, everything's great, but we pay it all in cash. Now, the problem with that is there's no credit history. So it's difficult for people who have no credit cards, or if they check their credit score and there's nothing, then the banks have a tendency not to want to give them a loan. So our advice to people is get a credit card, even a small amount, so you can show your history that you pay your credit cards on time.
We've heard that from our friends at First Hawaiian when they did like the financial report here. They were saying even having so-so credit is better than having no credit at all.
Right, and you know, when people come to us and they want to buy but their credit scores are low or they've had some credit issues, we've told them there's always a solution to the problem. The banks will tell them for the next 2 years, pay off all your debts, start to reapply for a new credit card, and then pay that on time, and that will show up on your credit report. You know? So once they start reestablishing their credit, it gives them the ability to get a house loan after a 2-year period.
Okay, so those were simple things like, you know, like writing bad checks, not paying bills. For things of a more serious nature, when you delve into various types of crime, like if somebody has been convicted of a felony crime, if someone has been dishonorably discharged from the military, if they have been, you know, put on a deadbeat list because they aren't paying their child support, obligations and everything. How does that affect somebody?
That would show up on their credit card. Like if you don't pay your child support and they report that to the credit bureau, of course that will show. You don't pay your rent. If your landlord reports that to the credit bureau, it does affect it. So whatever's reported and shows up in your credit report, it just brings your scores down. If you walked away from not paying a mortgage, and let's say it's been 10 or 11 years, if you didn't satisfy that loan, somehow that will still appear. So, for example, if you're purchasing a home and you have a suit against you, let's say someone sued you for $50,000 or $100,000, when they do the loan process, of course they will check. If you have something against you, that would affect the home that you buy. So it has bearing. It has bearing.
And the bank could possibly look at taking your
They
home.
might look at that and say, hey, this is not a good person to loan to because he has so many suits against him. And if we sell him the home, you're putting the property at risk.
Okay, well, tell you what, before we go to our commercial break, let's end on a positive note, because we looked at we looked at some of the pessimism side, because some of the glasses
there's always, just remember, there's always a solution to a problem.
Exactly. So let's kind of flip the script here, and now if I should get a home loan and maybe hopefully pay that off in 30 years or hopefully even sooner, how does paying a house loan or clearing a mortgage, how does that affect my credit score going forward?
Oh, what happens is each time you pay your credits, of course it zeroes out and then it raises your score. So if you miss 2 or 3 payments, of course that will drop your score. But every time you pay off, give it a while, give it maybe 2-3 months so that all the reportings show at the credit bureaus, and then what happens is it increases that you've paid your bills on time, you have no debt, you're a good credit risk.
Does a house loan affect your credit score any more or less dramatically than, say, like a personal loan, an automotive loan, or an education loan
your
for college?
personal loan and your they're normally lower value. If you're doing a home mortgage, those are, of course, a higher value. So that has the weight. So it will determine how much your buying power, in other words. So if the bank does an evaluation of your credit and they know you've got so many loans plus 2 houses, then they'll evaluate to see, okay, how much is left for his buying power based on his income and any additional income coming in.
Okay, it's probably not a good idea to get a loan to go to Harvard and buy a house in the same year.
Well, Harvard education is rather pricey and expensive, yes.
Just to say the least. All right, thanks so much, Liz. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you on the flip side of this break.